We have Nina, okay, who is struggling with severe health imbalances, and Nina is a life code 4, so we have a life code 4 here. And Nina is looking, the picture that I've chosen here is Nina looking drained, which that will become apparent in a moment as to why.
Welcome to the Sensitive Mind Show.
Your purpose in life as a sensitive is to experience the deeper parts of the mind, to move beyond fear and to manage your energy, no matter the circumstance. I'm going to show you, as a sensitive, how you can maximize your talents and feel comfortable in your own skin. For show notes and to join the conversation, visit heidisawyer.com/mind.
What's the situation? I was getting headaches every day. I thought they were from a copper IUD, so I had it removed. But I still suffered from headaches. I had a hair analysis test done, which showed me that I had high copper, but also a complete exhaustion phase of adrenal fatigue. I ordered the recommended supplements to balance out my chemistry, but before I started taking these supplements, I saw one last natural doctor, Billy, who gave me charcoal to detox. So what's the problem the situation creates? Well, after 7 days of charcoal, I collapsed, felt like I had toxic shock, feared for my life, and have been lying in bed trying to slowly recover for almost 3 months now. I have to eat every 2 hours, whereas before I only ate 1 time a day. I'm very dizzy and extremely exhausted. The headache's not gone, but much better. So what's the question that Nina wants me to answer? Do I need to be checked or treated for other conditions? Thyroid, stomach, intestines, hormonal imbalance. Mostly, how do I heal from these symptoms? Okay, so Nina is asking how to bring her health back into balance, some kind of balance. Okay, so charcoal. Okay, so we'll have a look at the whole charcoal scenario first of all. And we'll also look at this as a life code. We'll look at this as a life code 4. So we're just going to look at Nina in her interaction with her own system and how that manifests out in her physical body. Okay, so what do we have as that life code 4? Well, life code 4 systems are normally quite stable. It's normally quite even keeled. Life code 4 is very much about that. But at the same time, if there is an imbalance of love in their system, yes, sure enough, the first thing where it shows is health. Okay, so it will show in terms of if the body is trying to solve something as far as love is concerned, the first thing it'll catapult it with is into the health scenario. Okay, so headaches and the hair analysis and the adrenal fatigue, all of this kind of stuff, and the supplements to sort that out, to sort out that chemistry, and then this charcoal detox given to her by Billy. Okay, so well, charcoal, in terms of activated charcoal, not just literally lumps of things that comes from bits of wood, etc., is it's used as a detox method to trap chemicals and prevents the absorption of it into the bloodstream. So charcoal, activated charcoal, is quite often used for intestinal things and for when someone's had some kind of overdose. Okay, so it's a way of expelling that kind of toxin, but as an immediate effect to solve that situation. So what I suspect is that in order for this situation to be quite so intense as far as the body is concerned, is that there isn't a toxin as such, a physical toxin, that's trying to leave itself or release from Nina's body. It's not, because charcoal is normally used to make someone kind of sick almost. You use it, activated charcoal, to make them to make them vomit, to make them sick, to push it, to pull all that chemical out. So the copper kind of thing, what I can't imagine that, it would be intestinal where you would be sick in order to release that as that sort of level of that toxicity. So for it to be going through Nina's system, I suspect that her adrenals are the real issue, which is if you've got low adrenals, there's a pressure on the immune system, there's a pressure on a person's HPA axis, which is everything to do as far as stress is concerned, and earlier life stress. Okay, so stress earlier in Nina's life, I suspect, which her body is trying to solve and expel from her system rather than a physical thing. Okay, and I suspect that the immune system was saying, hang on a second, we need to solve this. There's also another clue within this, which is that Nina's blood sugars have obviously been impacted, because now having to eat every 2 hours, so maybe that is about them bringing back into balance something as far as her eating habits are concerned, whereas before she only ate once a day. So eating once a day was then going to that would be partly as well an issue, as in the strain on the adrenal system and all of that, and the stress factors as far as the body having to reboot itself and everything to do with its metabolism, which for a life code 4, because they're all about love, that kind of feed starvation wouldn't suit a life code 4. Okay, they would need to be replenished and feel that there is some connection and love, not a separation between the mind and the body. Okay, which I suspect is what has been going on as far as Nina is concerned. So I'm going to look at this in terms of what is Nina's emotions trying to get her to connect with, rather than expelling something physically. Okay, so let's have a look and see what that is. And I'm going to use, obviously, Nina's life code 4, and then I'm going to work through here, which is the soul, the subconscious, and the 110 in the physical world. So we'll have a look to see what it is that Nina's emotions are trying to communicate with her, so that she can then get back into a place of feeling her health. Okay, so let's see. So first of all, let's have a look at Nina. Okay, interesting. So we have the Avenger here. So what is the primary thing that her body is trying to expel? It's actually anger. Okay, so I suspect straight away that Nina struggles to be in contact with her own feelings of anger. Okay, and I suspect that that's been there from an early foundational experience. I suspect that as part of Nina's life, in her early life, maybe someone else was allowed their anger, but Nina wasn't actually allowed to feel anger or experience it. And it's normal part of our growth process emotionally, which is to allow ourselves to know what anger feels like, and to know what the boundaries of it are, and how we utilize it and express it appropriately. That's why 2-year-olds have tantrums, because it's all about learning the different sways of emotion and what it means, and what you do with it. Well, if someone hasn't been able to have a full experience of that or understanding of that, or where it's been allowed, then it stores in the body. Okay, and it's one of the primary areas for it to store is in the adrenals. Okay, so I suspect that Nina's body was angry that she was using a physical thing, the charcoal, which is a physical expulsion thing, rather than it to do with the emotions, which is why it's shut her down. So it's shut her down until she feels experiences the emotions and the ability to move that through. So what is the primary thing that she's dealing with? It's anger. Okay, as far as that Avenger is concerned. Now, also for a life code 4, it's tricky to allow yourself to feel anger because everything is about love. So everything has to be about being nice, being kind, being pleasant. So anger, ugly thing. Whereas in actual fact, it's part of who we are. It's part of our human nature and has to be healthily experienced and dealt with where it becomes something appropriate. But Nina's body is saying, I have some in here that I haven't been able to reconcile. Okay, so let's see what the soul is up to. Okay, what is the point in Nina experiencing what she's been experiencing at the moment? Let's have a little look. Okay, so gosh, we've got the teacher. Okay, so at a soul level, this is a life lesson. So it's not a punishment. Okay, so it's not a life punishment for Nina to be experiencing this. It's actually a life lesson. And I suspect as we go into the subconscious and here, it's about a life lesson about learning how to feel rather than seeing it as a problem and find the solution, as in there's a toxicity that has to be fixed. Is actually the toxicity is perhaps a lack of being able to have a full expression of your own emotion, because at some point, key point in your life, it's been either squashed as not allowed, or you thought it had to be squashed and placed somewhere, which wouldn't be unusual for a life code 4, especially around that emotion of anger. Okay, so let's see what the subconscious is saying. So we can also look at this in terms of the adrenals. So the adrenals quite often can be an expression of the subconscious. So let's have a look and see what that wants to say. Oh, we've got the father. Okay, well, this is being very clear. I don't think it could be more clear than this. So the actual whole experience is there is anger stored in Nina that she's not allowed to access. It's a soul lesson, so it's trying to teach her something in order to, wiping her out in order for her to experience something to actually solve it, rather than see it as a physical thing that's wrong. It's an emotional thing that's trying to experience. And actually, what's in the subconscious, what's the subconscious reason for it? It's a father issue. Okay? So there is anger around the life lesson of the parent, which it's stored in there as the father. Okay? So for it to be this clear, really, really clear, Nina really wants to cleanse this and solve this, because it's really talking very loudly as far as this scenario is concerned. Okay, so let's have a look at about how she can access that. Okay, so and we look at that as the 110 here, because it's the 110 here at the bottom here is a person in their physical world. So how can she access it? Because clearly she likes to do things in practical ways, hence she would have, she's taken it as far as the practical routes, practical things to see what is wrong, which is the hair analysis, the headaches and all of this kind of thing. So thinking that there's a physical thing rather than it's an emotional thing that's trying to communicate. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so how does she access it? It's actually through reflection. Okay, so we've got the Hermit there. So it means about taking herself back into some memories around feeling anger towards the father that she wasn't allowed to express, opening it up as a question, as a soul question to be answered, and reflecting on it, personally reflecting on it, which will then give her that access back to a state of balance and a state of health. Okay, so let's see if she puts this into action, what is the outcomes for us that's concerned? Let's have a little look. Oh, God. Okay, so what that means is if she puts that into action, what we'll have is the God kind of energy means that if she puts all that into action, what she'll get is a sense of renewal, a sense of connection, and a sense of connection to a deeper part of herself that is over and above what her current physical experience has been. So really we could then put this God into the whole self, okay? So we really could be putting that into the 110 at the top here, okay? So we're actually starting to begin to come into a 110 energy and 110 vibration. So this would be a very powerful alignment for her in the beginning of her year moving forward. So most certainly, if she approaches it this way, I think she would have a very positive result. So what's the lesson within this? Well, sometimes a physical complaint isn't necessarily physical. It can be an emotional thing that's trying to communicate through the body. And sometimes we make life choices that we think are then mistakes. So she thinks that this charcoal scenario is a mistake. But is it a mistake, or was it part of a soul plan in order to get her to access the emotions? Because there's a realization, strong realization, that actually it's the emotions that are impacting physical health. Okay, so that's the end of this episode of the Sensitive Mind Show. If you've enjoyed it and found it helpful, do share it with your friends. Next week I will be doing a themed episode around partner relationships and the very difficult question of should I stay or should I go? Where I'll be looking at the decision-making elements of this very delicate life dilemma, especially at this time of year. So be sure to join me for next week when I look forward to giving you an alternative perspective on your relationship dilemmas. Bye for now, and let me leave you with this. For more great free content designed to support your purchase of my book, Highly Intuitive People, 7 Right Brain Traits to Change the Lives of Intuitive Sensitive People, please visit finallyfeelunderstood.com. There you can subscribe and download for free the meditation specific to today's episode. If you have already read the book, then it's time for you to receive exclusive access and support from me and your fellow intuitive sensitives as we go deeper together along this proven 7-step path by joining us in my monthly membership program called Heidi's Circle. There you can ask me anything in a safe and private environment, and I will answer you live. Join us today by visiting healmyinnerworld.com.